Good afternoon, children. How was your day so far? Is it good or bad? If it is good, then react hard. And if it is bad, then react sad. Okay, I can see some of my students here reacting hard. That's good to hear. All right. Always remember, class, that no matter how good or bad your day is, remember that tomorrow is a new day, okay, Lord willing. You can always start fresh and make it better, alright? Next slide, please. Before we start, let's have our prayer first to be led by Mary Faith.
Let us bow down our head and put ourselves in the holy presence of the Lord as we all say all together, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord, we thank you for today, for all the blessings, for all the good health, and for the life that you've given to us. We are so grateful and blessed for your unconditional love that you share to us, Lord God. Please guide us and protect us from everything. We glorify you, O Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that wonderful prayer, Faith, for us to be guided to our session this afternoon. All right, next slide, please. To formally start our class, we will introduce our name one by one. All right, starting off myself, I am Teacher Madison, or you can call me Teacher Maddie, and I am with.
Good afternoon, class. I am teacher Beta J.
Good afternoon, class. I am teacher Charlene May.
Good afternoon, class. I am teacher Desiree.
Good afternoon, class. I am Teacher Rochelle.
Good
Good
afternoon, my dear
afternoon,
students.
class.
I am your
I
teacher of.
am teacher Romel.
Good afternoon, my dear students. So I am your teacher, Abby.
And good afternoon, class. I am your teacher, Claire, and we
And
are
we
And
are
we
your
are
We
math
your
are
math
your
teacher.
math
Your
teacher.
teacher.
math teacher.
Thank you, teachers. And now, class, we prepare a song for all of you. Alright, I hope that you will enjoy it. Teacher Cha, on three, two, one.
The more we learn math lessons,
In our class,
The more we learn math lessons,
The happier are we.
For numbers are treasures.
That count down as blessings.
The moral or math lessons.
the happier are we. All right, class. So for your attendance, I want you to comment in the comment section your favorite fruit. And while teacher Charlene is checking your attendance, we will have our activity game. Are you ready, class?
Yes,
Uh,
teacher.
Thank you for that response. Next slide, please. It's game time. Next slide, please. So, teacher, how to play? So, each treasured box contains scrambled letters. So, to play, you must figure out the correct word from the jumbled letters. However, you need you need to chant the special chant, all right? Are you ready, class?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
So, chant here. So the chant, this is how it goes. Next slide, please. So, round one. Next slide. Oh, it's a treasured bag. Do you want to see what's inside the treasured box, class?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Teacher.
Alright, so in order to see what's inside the treasured box, you need to say the special chant. So here how it goes. Next slide, please. Collect, display, see it clear. Tables, grab, data, cheer. So now let's do it together, everyone. Unmute your mic and say the special chant with me. Collect,
Black
Let's
display
play.
Play,
table
tables,
grab
tables, grab,
Grab
data,
data
cheer.
cheer.
next slide, please. Ta-da! Who wants to arrange the jumbled letter? Anyone from the class? Okay, Nichi.
It's data teacher.
Let's see if you get the correct answer. Next slide, please. Very good. You get the correct answer. So to continue this game, I will give the virtual floor to Teacher Bebe J. Teacher Bebe J, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Teacher Claire. Next slide, please. Oh, another treasure box again. And to open this, let's chant this spell again together. Next slide, please. Okay, class, unmute your mic and together let's chant this spell. In one, two,
Collect,
three, go.
Co-
Collect,
collect,
display,
display,
collect, display,
see it
sit,
clear,
clear,
and
tables,
grab
grab data
data
cheer.
cheer. Next slide, please. Okay, oh no, another jumbled letters again. Who wants to arrange them? Yes, Ruby?
It's table teacher.
Okay, let's check if it is correct. Okay, very good, Ruby. Let's give Ruby a virtual clap. Okay, to continue, let's call Teacher Cha.
Thank you, teacher Baby J. Next slide, please. Oh, it's treasured box again. Do you want to open it? Then let's all say the special chant. Next slide, please. And open your mic. Collect,
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 display,
display,
sit,
sit, clear,
tables,
tables,
grab,
grab data
data,
cheer.
cheer.
next slide, please. Ta-da! Who wants to arrange these jumble letters? Okay, let's have Mary Ann Patpat.
It's pictograph teacher.
Pictograph. All right, next slide, please, to know if it's pictograph. It's pictograph. Marianne also got the correct answer. To continue, may I call teacher Desiree?
Okay, thank you for that, teacher Charlene. Next slide, please. Oh wow, there is another treasured box. So to open it, class, let us say our special chant. Next slide, please. So unmute your mics and let us say all together.
collect,
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 display,
display,
sit,
Display, sit,
grab,
clear, tables,
data,
grabs data cheer.
Cheer.
next slide, please. Oh my! Another set of jumbled letters. Who wants to answer? Yes, Jonah?
Bargraph teacher.
Okay, let us check. Next slide, please. Very good. It is a bar graph. Now let us call Teacher Rochelle to continue our game. Teacher Rochelle?
Thank you for that, teacher Des. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh no! Another treasure box. To open it, let's say together the special chant first. Can you please unmute your mic, class, and let's say it together? Next slide, please.
Yes,
Yes,
correct.
correct.
And
And
we
we
unmute
unmute
our
the
mic
word
and say
bargraph to
bargraph.
8 here. Next slide, please. Oh no! Another jumbled letters again. Anyone from the class who would like to answer? Yes, I see the hand of Velia Hermosa.
It is statistic teacher. Statistics.
Okay, let's see if your answer is correct. Next slide, please. Very good. It's indeed statistics. Now, to continue the game, let me call on Teacher Maddie. Teacher Maddie,
Thank you, Teacher Rochelle. Now, let's have another treasured box. To open it, let's have our special chant. Alright, next slide please, and let's say it together. Ready, go! Collect,
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 save,
save,
protect the Holy Passion of our Lord.
let's see the jumbled letters. Alright, what is that? May I have the yes, Desiree?
I pro probability teacher.
That's right. Let's see if your answer is correct. Oh, it's correct. Now for the last treasured box, let's have Teacher Romel.
Thank you so much, Teacher Maddie. And now, alright, so, oh no, there's one left treasured box. But before we open it, let's have our special chant. Next slide, please. Alright, can you please unmute your mic and let's say it together? Collect,
Collect,
display, clear. Tables, grab, take a chair. Can you please, next slide, please? Oh no, who wants or anyone of the class can can tell me what the jumble word is this? Igay?
It's collection teacher.
Let's see if Igay answer is correct. Next slide, please. Wow, Igay's answer is correct. It is collection. And now I will give the virtual floor to the next teacher.
Thank you for that, Teacher Romel. Can I see any reaction for me to know that I am audible at your end? All right, thank you. So next slide, please. Next. So class, today I want you to observe what is the picture all about. So for anyone from the class who wants to answer? Okay, Chris?
It is a table teacher with the different favorite candy of the students.
All right, so another one who wants to answer? Okay, Francis? All right, May Angeline, you can answer.
A table with data teacher.
Very good. So it's a table with data. So this table with data is part of our topic for today. So next slide, please. So our topic for today is all about data collection and presentation in table. But first, teacher, what is data collection? Next slide, please. So who wants to read the first sentence? Okay, Ruby.
Data collection is the process of obtaining information.
Alright, thank you for that. So, data collection means gathering information. It's like going out and collecting facts, numbers, or descriptions to learn more about something. For example, asking people their favorite color, measuring how tall students are, or counting how many birds are in the park. So, all of these are ways of collecting data. Also, surveys and interviews are techniques that we can apply when collecting data. So, did you understand, class? Can I see any reaction? All right, thank you for that. So, may I call Teacher Abigail to discuss the next part? Teacher Abigail, the floor is yours.
So thank you for that, Teacher Claire. Next slide, please. So students, can you tap any reaction to let me know that I'm clear and loud? Thank you for that. So students, can you read the first sentence? Who wants to read? Okay. Karil?
So what is data collection? So data can be presented or organized using tables, graphs, and charts.
Okay, thank you for that. So when we collect data, we need to organize it so it's easy to understand. Here are three common ways to present data. You can present it through table, graphs, and charts. Okay, next, who wants to read the next sentence? Okay, Noreen?
A table is made up of rows and column, header, and data.
So thank you for that. So a table is a way to organize information neatly. So it's easy to read. It's made up of rows, columns header. So this way you can quickly find or compare information. So who wants to read the next sentence? Anyone? Okay, Valerie.
The total counts of tally marks in a table is called frequency.
Okay, thank you for that. So in a table, tally marks are used to count how often something happens. The total number of tally marks for each item is called the frequency. It's a way to quickly see how often something happens. So now I will give the virtual floor to Teacher Claire again. Teacher Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that, teacher. So, for better understanding, we have here an example. So, next slide, please. So, example number one, Teacher Claire conducted a survey to know who among her students were allowed by their parents to join the field trip. So, 16 of her students answered yes, and 4 of her students answered no. So, the responses of Teacher Claire's students are what we called data. Again, we can present or organize the data collected using tables and charts. So, next slide, please. So the first column shows the yes or no responses, while the second column shows the tally marks. So we count the tally marks and put the count in the third column, and it is called the frequency. After this, we can analyze the table and we can answer the following question. Next slide, please. So question number one, how many students are there in Teacher Claire's class? Okay, Jenny,
20 teacher.
let's see if you get the correct answer. Next slide, please. All right, you get the correct answer. So from the table presented, we just have to add the number of total responses or simply add the frequency. Next slide, so who wants to answer the number two? Erika?
How many students can join the field trip? There are 16 students, teacher.
Okay, let's see if you get the correct answer. Next slide, please. All right, you get the correct answer. So from the table presented, responded with a yes. Therefore, there are 16 students who will be joining the field trip. So, how about the number three? Who wants to answer? Okay, Arcelio,
How many students cannot join in the field trip? Four, teacher.
let's see if you get the correct answer. Next slide, please. All right, you get the correct answer. So from the table presented, there are four who responded with a no. Therefore, there are four students who will not be joining the field trip. So for better understanding, may I call Teacher Abigail for another example? Teacher Abigail, the floor is yours.
So thank you, Teacher Claire. So let's proceed the next situation. Next slide, please. So I want you to read and understand the illustration and gather record all the important data by making a table. So let's start. Okay, can someone read this situation? Okay, Miss Christina.
Mang Ben has fruit bearing trees in his backyard. Every day he harvests fruits in each tree. One Sunday morning, he collected the following: mango, guava, jackfruit, and star apple.
Okay, thank you for that. So Mang Ben has a fruit-bearing trees in his backyard. So every day he harvested fruits in each trees. So one Sunday morning, he collected the following fruits. So these are mangoes, guava, jackfruit, and star apple. So do you already see or try this kind of fruit, students?
Yes, teacher.
Teacher.
Okay, wow, very good. So let's proceed. So now, next slide, please. So now, let's all count and tally how many fruits did Mang Ben got. So let's start counting and tally the mangoes. Okay, do you want to count with me, students? Can you count with me?
Okay,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
Yes,
Okay,
teacher.
okay, let's start. Okay, one,
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 two,
two,
three,
three,
four,
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 five,
five,
six,
five,
six,
seven,
six,
eight,
seven,
nine,
eight,
ten,
nine,
eleven, 12.
11, 12. So, okay, very good. Mang Ben has 12 mangoes. So next, let's count and tally how many guava he got. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so next, let's count and tally how many guava he got. So let's count, please. Student, okay, let's count with me.
One,
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 two,
two,
three,
three,
four,
four, five,
five,
six,
six,
10.
seven,
seven,
eight, nine, 10.
so very good. So Mang Ben, so he got 10 guava. So next slide, please. So next slide. So next, let's count and tally how many jackfruit he got. Okay, let's all count and tally it. Okay,
One,
one,
two,
One,
two,
one,
two,
two,
three.
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 okay, very good. So Mang Ben got three jackfruits, and now let's count and tally how many star apple he got. Next slide, please. So okay, let's count.
One,
One,
one, two,
two,
three,
three,
four,
four,
five,
five,
six,
six,
seven, eight.
Okay, very good. He got 8 star apple. So now we already know how many fruits he got. So let's check the table. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we recorded it in the table. So we can easily know how many mangoes, guava, jackfruit, and star apple Mang Ben got. So as you can see in the table, so what fruit has the most harvested? Anyone? Okay, Junaline.
The mango, teacher.
Next slide, please. Okay, very good. The most harvested fruit is the mangoes. So, what fruit has the less harvest? So, anyone? Let's, okay, Nietzsche.
Jackfruit teacher.
Let's, next slide, please. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. The jackfruit because he only got three. So, the last question, how many fruits were harvested in all? So, let's all check the table. So, Mang Badong got 12 mangoes, and he got 10 guavas, and he got 3 jackfruit, and he got 8 star apples. So, how many fruits he got? So, can you count in the table to get the answer easily? So, anyone? Elaine?
It's 33, teacher.
Oh, all right, very good. Mang Ben got Mang Ben harvested 33 fruits. So thank you students for helping me to solve Mang Ben problem. So can you tap any reaction if you understand our lesson? So thank you, and now I will give the virtual floor to Teacher Claire again. So Teacher Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that, Teacher Abigail. So to test your intelligence, we prepared a short activity. So next slide, please. So Cherry bought some fruits in the market. We need to organize the data by completing the table. So identify the number of apples, pineapples, mangoes, and watermelons that Cherry bought. Identify how many is the tally and the frequency. So did you understand, class?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
So how many apples did Cherry buy in the market? Okay, Julian?
5, teacher.
Okay, next slide, please. Let's see if you get the correct answer. Very good. It's correct. How about the pineapple? Okay, Francis.
7, teacher.
Okay, next slide, please. Very good. You also get the correct answer. How about the mango? Okay, Ariane.
6, teacher.
Okay, next slide, please. Very good. It's 6 mangoes. How about the last one, the watermelon? Okay, Karil.
7, teacher.
All right. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Since you already organized the table, here are some questions. So how many mangoes did Cherry bought? Okay, Jenny.
6 mangoes, teacher.
Next slide, please. Very good. It's 6 mango. How? Question number 2. Which fruit has the least in number? Okay, Erica.
Apples, teacher.
Next slide, please. Let's see if you get the correct answer. Very good. You get the correct answer. How about question number 3? Which fruits have the same in number? Okay, Ruby Jane.
Pineapple and watermelon, teacher.
All right, let's see. Next slide, please. All right, very good. It's pineapple and watermelon. How about how many fruits did Jerry bought in all? Ariane? How many fruits did Jerry bought in all? Oriane, what's your answer? Okay, who wants to answer? I think Oriane. Okay, Valerie, what's your answer?
25, teacher.
Okay, let's see if you get the correct answer. All right, very good. How about the last question? How many more watermelons were there than apples? Okay, Jonalyn, what's your answer?
Two, teacher.
All right, next slide, please. Very good. Great job, everyone. It seems like you really listen and understand well. So, in the lesson we had, you learned how to collect, organize, and interpret data. So, that's all for our part. We will now give the virtual floor to Teacher Charlene to discuss another topic. Teacher Charlene, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Teacher Claire. So, class, good afternoon. Am I audible at your end? So, can you please react any reaction? All right, thank you so much. So, before we're going to proceed to our next topic, let's observe first these two illustrations. So, now, what have you observed in these two illustrations? All right, let's have Ruby Jane.
The first illustration teacher is only has text, but the second include images.
Yes, very good, Ruby Jane. So, in the first illustration, the table only has text and numerical that represent the data, while the illustration 2 is visually appealing because it has pictures and which can make the information easier to understand. Okay, next slide, please. Teacher Madison.
Thank you for that, Teacher Cha. Now, as you can see, class, what have you seen in this picture? Let's have Julian.
There are fruits and vegetables, teacher.
Yes, very good. What else? Let's have Arcilio. How about Sontosidad?
I can see teacher grandmother holding a basket full of fruits.
That's right, very good. And what are the kinds of fruit in Grandma's basket? Yes, Francis?
I think it's apple, orange, strawberry, and pear, teacher.
Very good. Now, Teacher Cha?
Very good, class. So, it is very understandable that this illustration is something that is connected to another way of presenting data. So, when we present this illustration in a unique way of presenting data, it's going like this. Next slide, please. All right. So, when you saw this illustration, what comes to your mind will be the next topic. Okay, let's have Francis. Francis.
Sorry, teacher, I'm having unstable network. Can you repeat the question?
So when you saw this illustration, what comes to your mind will be the next topic. Okay, let's have Ruby Jane.
It's pictograph teacher.
Wow, it's pictograph. Next slide, please. Yes, this is the illustration of the pictograph. Okay, next slide, please. All right, class. So before I'm going to discuss what pictograph is, Teacher Maddie and I prepared a song about a pictograph so that you won't forget what pictograph is. The tone of this song is The Whales on the Bus. Teacher Maddie and I will sing it first. Teacher Maddie, are you ready?
Yes, Teacher Cha, I am ready. On three, three, two, one. Pictograph
Pictograph is a
is a
way
way
to
to
present
present
data
data
using images.
images. Pictograph
Pictograph
is a
is a
way to
way to
present
present
data
data using
using images.
images. All right, class. Now it's your turn to unmute your mic. Let's all sing.
Pictograph
Pictograph is a way to present
Data using
images.
pictograph
Pictograph
is
is
a
a
way
way
to
to
present
present
data
data
using
using images.
Image.
Thank you so much, class. So, pictograph is a way to present data using images. So, a pictograph is a visual representation of data using pictures or symbols. So, each pictures or symbols represents a certain quantity or value, making it easier to understand and compare information. Next slide, please. So, the pictograph, it has four parts: the title, legend, pictures, and the labels. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the parts of the pictograph. First, at the very upper part, that is the title, which is Fruits in Grandma's Basket. So, in every pictograph has one title, which tells us what the pictograph is all about. And next part is the picture, which is in the second column. So, the picture, which tells us the given number of the objects. And then in the opposite side, which is the label in the first column, which tells us what kind of data is shown. And lastly is the legend in the bottom part. Example, one fruit is equal to one piece. So the legend, which tells us the number each picture is equal to. Do you understand, class?
yes,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
Yes, teacher.
All right, so let's proceed. Now, let's see how we can read this pictograph. Next slide, please. All right, so in Grandma's basket, there are different kinds of fruit. How many of each kind of fruit does Grandma have? So, don't forget that one fruit is equal to one piece. So, the question, how many oranges are in Grandma's basket? So, before we're going to tell the correct answer, let's count it first. Okay? One, two, three, four, five, six. So there are six oranges. Next slide, please. Yes, there are six oranges in Grandma's basket. Next slide, please. Okay, next. How many strawberries are in Grandma's basket? Okay, so let's count it first. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So, next slide, please. There are eight strawberries. All right, next slide, please. Who wants to answer this question? How many apples are in Grandma's basket? Wow, there's a lot of hands. So let's have Charvey.
Okay, the apple is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So there are seven apples in Grandma's basket, teacher.
All right, let's see if Charvey is correct. Next slide, please. There are seven apples. Yes, Charvey got the correct answer. Next slide, please. Okay, how many pears are in Grandma's basket? So, let's count it together. One, two, three,
One, two,
four,
four,
five,
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 six,
five,
six,
six,
seven.
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 So there are also seven pears in Grandma's basket. All right. Next slide, please. And this is the last question. And this is the most important question. What is the title of this pictograph? Okay, let's have Mika Dacolio.
The title would be Fruits in Grandma's Basket, teacher.
All right, so may I quote Teacher Maddie? Is Mika correct?
Yes, teacher Cha, it is correct because it is represented in the illustration that the pictograph is all about fruits in grandma's basket.
Wow! All of you got the correct answer. So now let's all give ourselves a nice clap. Do you know how to do the nice clap? So it's just like this. N, I, C, E. Nice, nice, nice. So now it's your turn. Open your mic and cameras.
N,
All right, thank you, class. So now, to know that you're listening to Teacher Chat, Teacher Audrey, do you have anything to add on?
Of course, yes, teacher Cha, I have another illustration or example. Next slide, please. All right. In classroom, the students are asked what are their favorite animals. How many kinds of animals are the students' favorite? We have dog, cat, rabbit, fish, and horse. So we have five kind of animals. We also have our title, which is the students' favorite animals, and the picture or images of the animals. The label of what kind of animal is it, dog or cat, and the legend, which is one animal is equivalent to one student. Now, the first question, how many students prefer dogs? Let's have Jade.
Six, teacher. There are six dogs.
Let's see. Next slide, please. All right, very
I
good.
mean student.
There are six students who prefer dogs. Next slide, please. Now, how many students prefer cats? Let's have Grishel.
There are three students who pick cats, teacher.
Let's see. Next slide, please. That's right. We have three students who prefer cats. Now, how many students prefer rabbit? Let's have Jasa Babe.
There are four students who prefer rabbit, teacher.
Let's see. Next slide, please. All right, very good. We have four students who prefer rabbit. Now, next slide. Another question. How many students prefer fish? Let's have Ella.
Five students prefer fish, teacher.
Let's see if your answer is correct. Next slide, please. All right, very good, Ella. There are five students who prefer fish. Now, for the second to the last question, how many students prefer horse? Let's have Julian.
Two students, teacher.
Let's see. Very good. There are two students who prefer horse. Now, for the last question, the important part, what is the title of this pictograph? Yes, Ruby?
Students' favorite animals, teacher.
Let's see. Ruby's got the correct answer. Very good, class. You all got the correct answer. Now, next slide, please. It's activity time. So, in order for us to know that you really listen to the discussion, we have a little activity. All right? May I ask you a question? What are these characters? Let's have Rhea.
Disney princess characters, teacher.
Very good. Next slide, please. All right, there are the Disney princesses. Now, I will read the situation, all right? so that we can present it in a pictograph representation. Next slide, please. The Kingdom School or elementary school will be having a book character program where students are encouraged to wear their favorite book characters, such as Disney princesses and superheroes. Teacher conducted a survey among their students to determine which book characters they would choose. Since most of the participants are girls, most of them choose Disney princesses like Rapunzel, Belle, Elsa, and Anna as their characters. There are 15 students who chose Belle as their character, and 15 students chose Rapunzel, 20 students chose Elsa, and 10 students chose Anna as their character. To present the number of students who chose each character, next slide please. This is how we should present it in a pictograph. As you can see now again, the parts of the pictograph are the title, which is at the top, the picture itself, which tells us the given number of the object, the label, tells us what kind of data is shown, and the legend, the number each picture is equal to. As you can see, the legend is one Disney princess picture is equivalent to five students, alright? Five students. For example, one bell is equivalent to five students. Now, let's proceed to our activity game. Next slide, please. For the first question, how many students chose Belle as their character? Let's have Nietzsche.
15 students, teacher.
15. Let's see if your answer is correct. Very good. 15 because we add the 3 Belle that equivalents to 5 students. So 5, 10, 15. Very good, Nietzsche. Next slide, please. For the next question, how many students chose Rapunzel as their character? Let's have Karil.
25, teacher.
Let's see if your answer is correct. Very good, Karil. You got the correct answer. Now for the next question. How many students chose Elsa as their character? Let's have Christina.
20, teacher.
Let's see if your answer is correct. Very good, Christina. You got the correct answer. Now, Teacher Cha, can you please continue the next question?
Yes, teacher Madison. So, the next question, how many students choose Anna as their character? Okay, let's have Jade Noreen. Okay, let's have Jenny Beth Racho.
10 students, teacher.
Okay, so let's see if Jenny Beth got the correct answer. Next slide, please. Yes, there are 10 students. Next slide, please. Okay, next, which Disney princess received the most votes? Okay, let's have Jessa Babe.
It's Rapunzel, teacher.
It's Rapunzel. All right, let's see if it's correct. Next slide, please. Wow, it's correct. It's Rapunzel. Next slide, please. And this is one of the most important question. What is the title of this pictograph? Okay, let's have Maria Kyle.
The title, teacher, is Disney Princess Book Characters.
Okay, let's see if Maria Kyle's correct. Wow, it's Disney Princess book character. Wow, all of you class got the correct answer. So now let's all give ourselves a nice clap. So unmute your mic and open your camera so that I can see your beautiful faces. Okay, let's all do the nice clap. N N
N N
N
N
I
I
I
I
S
S
T
T
T
T
C
C
C
I.
right. All right. Thank you, class. And now to continue that discussion, may I call Teacher Bebe J.
Thank you, Teacher Cha. Okay, can you next slide, please? All right, class. We are now bound in another activity or topic for today. For you to have any idea, let's observe this image first. So, class, what have you observed in the image? Anyone who wants to answer, just raise your hand. Yes, Orion?
Hello, teacher. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I observed many stalls that sells different snacks, teacher.
Yes, very good. Another one. Who wants to answer? Yes, Elaine?
There are children buying different snacks, teacher.
Yes, very good, class. The image in the screen shows different types of snacks being sold to the children. Okay, class, based on the image, how many children are lining up to buy burger? Anyone? Yes, Mika? Michaela, are you there? All right, I will just call on Francis.
Hello, teacher. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay, Mika. How
What
many
was the
children?
question?
Okay, okay. How many children are lining up to buy burger?
There are 5 children, teacher.
Okay, let's see if it's checked. Okay, very good, Mika. Let's give Mika a virtual clap. Okay, another one. How about in the ice cream? How many children are wants to buy the ice cream? Yes, Jonaline?
6 children, teacher.
Let's check if it is correct. Okay, very good. Another one. How many children wants to buy a pizza? Yes, Ruby.
For teacher.
Okay, let's see if it is checked. Yes, very good. Let's give Ruby a virtual clap. There are children. Another. How about in the popcorn? Who wants to answer? Yes, Erica.
There are two teacher.
Okay, let's see if it is checked. Okay, there are two children who wants to buy the popcorn. And the last one is, how many children wants to buy a juice? Anyone? Yes, Julian?
3 children, teacher.
Yes, there are three children. Let's check, okay? Okay, very good. There are three children. Very good, class. Let's give ourselves a very nice clap. Okay, open your mic and camera. And together, let's okay. Nice, nice, nice. All right, to continue, let's call on Teacher Rochelle. Teacher Rochelle?
Thank you for that, Teacher Bebe J. Good afternoon, class. So, great job, everyone. I see that you're already looking closely at the numbers and comparing the stalls. Now, let's look at the next slide to see how we can show this information in two different ways. Next slide, please. Here, we have two pictures that shows the same information. The first illustration is what we learned about the previous topic, right? Can you tap any reactions if I am correct? All right. So, and there is something new, this colorful chart on the right. Now take a moment to look at both illustrations. What do you notice about the first illustration? Anyone from the class who would like to answer? I see the hand of Ruby Jane.
The first illustration teacher, it uses picture or image to present a data.
Very good. That is right. Thank you so much, Ruby Jane. How about the second illustration? What have you noticed? All right, I see the hand of Elaine. Yes, Elaine? All right, so I think Elaine is. So let me call on Jenny Rose Igay.
I noticed that it has bars that goes up high or lower, teacher.
All right, thank you so much. That is correct. So both illustrations show the same information, but they look a little different, don't they? Do you agree with me? Can you tap any
Yes,
reactions?
teacher.
All right, thank you so much. Now, we're going to focus on this second illustration today, and you'll see how easy it is to understand numbers using these tall bars. But wait, before we go deeper into the bar graphs, teacher Baby J and I have prepared a song for you. So next slide, please. Next, next slide, please. All right, thank you so much. Now, the tune of this song is Jack and Jill. So, teacher Baby J, can you sing with me? And class, can you please open your mic and let's sing it together? You just follow our tune.
Okay, class,
All
together
right,
let
thank you
us
so
sing the
much.
bargraph song. I know you already know the tune of the Jack and Jill song. So together, let's sing it. Okay, one, two, three, go. Bargraph, bargraph,
Bargraph,
bargraph song. Going down the train, going
up
up
and down
and
the
down.
line.
With
Next and winding,
graphs of lightning or the graphs of lightly illustrate.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you so
class,
much,
thank you.
class. Thank you so much, teacher Baby J. Wasn't that fun? Now that we're all warmed up, let's dive in and learn more about bar graphs. So, teacher Baby J, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Teacher Rochelle. Next slide, please. Okay, class, our topic for today is bar graph. Teacher, what is bar graph? Anyone who wants to read what bar graph is? Yes, Nika?
Bar graph, a graphical display of data using bars of different heights. It is also called as bar chart.
Okay. A bar graph is a graphical display of data using bars of different heights. And remember, class, that the another name of bar graph is the bar chart. Each bar represents a different category. In the bar graph, the height of each bar can tell us how often something happens or show us the number of items we have for each group. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the bar graph also, it uses bars to compare two or more numbers. So it makes it easy to compare sets of data between different groups and glance. So it helps us to see relationships quickly. So it is better for comparing larger changes or differences in data among groups. So teacher Shell, do you have any examples in there?
Yes, teacher Baby J, I have prepared an example. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, next slide, please. All right, thank you so much. Now, our first example is the data earlier that teacher Bebe J asked you, class. So this is in the data in table form. So the title is Serving Students' Favorite Snacks. As you can see, we have two columns, the types of snacks and the number of students. All right, and in the types of snacks, we have burger, and 5 students lined in this snack. Next to it is the ice cream. In the ice cream, 6 students lined up. Next, we also have pizza. In the pizza, we have 4 students lined up. We also have popcorn, and in the popcorn, we have 2 students lined up. And our last snack is the juice. So there are 3 students lined up in the juice. In this data, I have prepared a bar graph that help us see and compare numbers quickly. So this is the other way of presenting data, aside from which you learned earlier, the pictograph. Next slide, please. All right, thank you so much. Now, this is our bar graph from the data earlier. Our title is Favorite Types of Snacks. So we also have in the left side, which is the vertical line, the number of students in which we have the scale of 0 to 10. And with the horizontal line represents the types of snacks, which is the burger, the ice cream, the pizza, the popcorn, and the juice. So each bar here shows the number of students who chose a certain snack. The taller the bar, the more students wanted that snack. So let's take a closer look. Who can tell me, looking at this graph, which snack had the most students in line? Anyone from the class who would like to answer? I see the hand of Mary Faith. Yes, Faith.
It's the ice cream teacher.
Very good. That's right. Look at the bar above ice cream. It's the tallest one, so we know it was the most popular snack and it is the favorite snack of the 6 students. Great job. Now, who can tell me which snack had the fewest students in line? All right. For a while, I see the hand of Erica. Yes, Erica.
Popcorn teacher.
All right, thank you so much. Exactly. The popcorn bar is the shortest, which means only a few of students lined up for the popcorn. So this bar graph is helpful because it makes it easy to compare things right away, right? Do you agree with me, class?
Yes, teacher.
Stop any.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
teacher.
Thank you so much.
Yes, teacher.
So by just looking, we can quickly see which snacks are more popular and which aren't as popular. Now let's try reading this graph together. So how many students lined up for burger? Anyone from the class who would like to answer? All right, I see the hand of Nika. Yes, Nika.
There are 5 students, teacher.
Very good. There are 5 students. And how about the pizza? How many students lined up for pizza? Right? Any other hands? I see the hand of Allah. Yes, Allah.
For students, teacher.
Very good. There are 4 students who lined up for pizza. And how about the juice? How many students lined up for juice? I see the hand of Tampus. Yes, Tampus.
I think it's three teacher.
Very good. Thank you for that, Tampus. That's right. There are 3 students lined up for the juice. Now, class, using bar graphs like this make it easy for us to understand numbers and information. And later on, we'll learn how to make our own bar graphs to show things we want to learn about, like our favorite colors or our hobbies. But before that, let me call on Teacher Bebe J to show us more example of bar graph. Teacher Bebe J.
Okay, thank you, Teacher Rochelle. Next slide, please. Okay, class, another example again. Let us try to observe this data together. The, there is the surveying students' favorite drinks. So the drinks in there, or the drink types, are the milk, the soda, the water, the juice, and the tea. And in the corresponding column, there is the number of students who like those different drink types. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so this is the bar graph of that data gathered. And then we can see that the milk has the with the only one student who likes. So the milk has the smallest bar graph. And then the highest one is the juice. So this means that the juice is more popular than the milk. That is another example of the bar graph. Next slide, please. Okay, can you next slide, please? Okay, class. Bar graph comes in different parts. These parts will help us to recognize the structure of the bar graph easily. Next slide, please. So these are the parts of the bar graph. We have the title, the label, the categories, the axis, the scale, and the bar. So let us discuss this one by one. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first one is the title. Who wants to read what is the title? Yes, Mary Faith?
This is a brief description of the data being presented in the bar graph.
Yes, that is the title. The title of the bar graph should be short, clear, and concise. And in the bar graph example, beside the title in there is the favorite types of drinks. Do you understand, class? Type I tap the heart react to see if you understand. Okay, very good. The next one, can you next slide, please? Okay, so the next one is the axis. The axis is the x-axis and the y-axis. So in the illustration or in the bar graph, the x-axis is the horizontal. I'm sorry for the illustration. The x-axis is the horizontal one and the y-axis is the vertical one, where the scales and the categories are in place. The next slide, please. Okay, so the third part is the label. Who wants to read the label? Yes, Janabeth?
Labels are placed along the axis of a graph to show exactly what is being measured.
Yes, that is the label. They are placed along the axis of graph to show exactly what is being measured. So in the illustration or in the bar graph, the labels are the number of students and the drink types. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the another part is the scale. The scale, it shows the set of numbers that help measure data. So in this, the scales, it shows that way that numbers are used in the bar graph. Depending on what grade level is being taught, a scale can have different patterns or intervals such as counting by ones, by twos, by threes, by fifths or by tens. So in the illustration, the scale in there is the numbers. Have you seen the numbers like the 0, 1, 2, 3? Do you see it, class? Yes,
Yes,
that is
teacher.
Okay, so yes, that is the scale of the bar graph. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, another one is the categories. The categories is a group of data that share characteristics. So in this, these are usually part or the label in the horizontal axis. The horizontal axis is called the x-axis. So in this, what are the categories? Class, who wants to answer what are the categories in the bar graph? Yes, Marie Faith?
The categories teacher are milk, soda, juice, water, and tea.
Yes, very good, Faith. That is the categories. Next slide, please. Okay, and the last one is the bars. We shouldn't forget the bars. Okay, the bars is the display the value for the particular category of data. So in this, it is separated by spaces that in and is created for each category with the height of the bars corresponding to the value of that category. So in this, the bars it should be corresponded the number of the bar should be corresponded to the scale and the category. So for example, in the juice, what is the height or the number of students who likes juice? Yes? Anyone who likes juice? Yes, Richelle?
7 students, teacher.
Yes, very good. 7 students likes the juice. That is how important the bars are in the bar graph. Okay, next slide, please. Kate, I am going now to call on teacher Rochelle.
Thank you, Teacher Baby J. Hello again, class. Now that we know the parts of a bar graph, let's learn the steps to make one ourselves. So we'll take it one step at a time, and I'll guide you through it. Are you ready? Can you please stop heart reactions if you are ready? All right, thank you so much. Now, here's what we need to do when creating a bar graph. So we have 4 steps. Let's start with the first step. Next slide, please. All right, can someone read? All right, I see a hand of Mary Faith.
The first step is write the title at the top center.
All right, so that is our first step. You write the title at the top center of your page. The title tells everyone what your graph is about. For example, if we're showing favorite snacks, we could write favorite snacks as the title. Now, as you can see, what is our title? Anyone from the class? I see the hand of Kirill.
Favorite types of drinks, teacher.
Very good. That is right. Our title is the favorite types of drinks. Now let's move on to the second step of making a graph. So make number two is make the graph. So we need to make the graph itself. So to do this, we draw 2 lines, one that goes up, that is our vertical line, which is also our y-axis, and horizontal line, which also represents our x-axis. So these lines help us organize our data, just like little frame for our bars. So is it clear, class? Can you tap any reactions for me to know if you're still listening? All right, thank you so much. Now for the next step, next slide please. Yes, that is our y-axis and our x-axis. Yes, so we're going, next slide please. Thank you so much. Now in the step 3, we're going to write the labels. Labels tells us what each part of the graph means. At the bottom, We'll label each bar with the names of the things we're comparing. So the drink types like the milk, the soda, water, juice, and the tea. And on the side, we label the numbers of students to show how many. So we have the scale of 0 to 10 students. Understood? Can you tap wow reaction for me
Yes,
to know if you
teacher.
understood the step 3? Alright, thank you so much. Now, for the last step, next slide please. So here's the fun part. We'll draw the bars. Each bar goes up to the number that matches the amount of each item we're comparing. So if 6 students like water, we draw the water bar up to the number 6. And the taller the bar, the bigger the number. And remember that the height of each bar should match the value it represents. So if more people like milk than soda, the soda bar will be taller than the milk bar. So can I have any reactions if you understood the steps in making a bar graph? All right, thank you so much. See, it's just like putting together a puzzle. Each step builds on the one before it, and by the end, we have a bar graph that's easy to read and tell us important information. Great job, class. Now, I will pass the virtual floor back to Teacher Baby J so we can learn more about the bar graphs. Thank you, class. Teacher Baby J.
Thank you, Teacher Rochelle. So now, class, kindly observe the illustration in the screen. What have you observed from the bars in both illustration? Anyone who wants to answer? Just raise your virtual hand. Yes, Kyle?
So, as based from the illustrations, teacher, the first illustration has horizontal bars, while the second one has vertical bars, teacher.
Yes, very good, Kyle. You are correct. So these two types are the bar graph types, the vertical graph and the horizontal graph. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. After, and then, okay, these are the two types of the bar graph, the vertical bar graph and the horizontal bar graph. Next slide, please. Okay, all right. Before we proceed to discuss the two types of bar graph, let us observe first this illustration or this data. This is the data that we will be using as we discuss each type. It is a survey of 145 people asked that the fruits are the apple, orange, banana, kiwi, blueberry, and grapes. They are asked which is the nicest fruit. And the number of people is written in there. Next slide, please. Okay, now let us know what is vertical bar graph. The vertical bar graph is the bars are drawn vertically from down to top. The data categories are placed on the horizontal axis and the numerical values are placed on the graph's vertical axis. So the vertical bar graph class, it is a common type of bar graph. It is useful for comparing sets of data as displaying individual values. The height of the bars correspond to the value of the data they represent. So as you can see, in the horizontal axis, there is the categories and in the vertical axis there are the scales. So okay class, in the vertical bar graph, who wants to tell the categories? What are the categories? Yes, Karil? Karil? You want to answer? Okay, let me just call on Genebeth.
The categories teachers are apple, orange, banana, kiwi, blueberry, and grapes.
Okay, very good. These are the categories. What is the interval of the scales? Yes, Meryl?
Five, teacher.
Yes, very good. The scales are counted by 5. Very good, class. Now I will call on Teacher Rochelle to discuss the other type of bar graph.
Thank you so much, Teacher Bebe J. So far, the bar graphs examples that we have seen have vertical bars. Do you know that the bars can be horizontal too? Let's see how we can flip the lines around and draw a horizontal bar graph with the same information. So the data here, class, is still the same with the data of the vertical bars that was discussed by teacher Baby J. It's just that the bars here are drawn horizontally from left to right, and the data categories are placed on the vertical axis, and the numerical bar values are placed on the graph's horizontal axis. Instead of the bars going up, they go across from left to right. So, can anyone from the class tell the categories of this bar graph? So I see the hand of Mary Faith. Yes, Faith.
The categories teacher are apple, orange, banana, kiwi fruit, blueberry, and grapes.
Very good. That is our categories of data. Thank you so much, Faith. So in the vertical graph, the data categories were placed in the horizontal axis or at the bottom part, but here our categories of data is placed in a vertical axis. And instead of the numbers going up, the numbers here are placed along the bottom or the horizontal axis. Now, can you tell me the scale shown in the graph? Anyone from the class? The scale, the numbers. Yes, Kirill?
The scale teacher are the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Kirill. That is correct. See how easy that is? Whether we make a vertical or horizontal bar graph, we're still showing the same information. It's just a different way to look at it. Now, can you unmute your mic and say the two types of bar graph? Everyone?
Horizontal and
The horizontal
vertical.
bar
Horizontal and
Horizontal
vertical
bar
bar.
graph.
All right, thank you so much. Now, to assess more your understanding, I have here a situation. Can you next slide, please? All right. So, Teacher May has 29 kindergarten students. One day, she conducted a survey to know her students' favorite candy flavor. So, beside in our situation is our bar graph that represents our data. Now, my question is, next slide, please. What is the title of the bar graph? Anyone from the class who would like to answer? All right, I see the hand of Angeline.
The title teacher is favorite candy.
All right, that is let us check if your answer is right. Yes, that is correct. So let me call on teacher Bebe J to continue the activity. Teacher Bebe J.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay. How many students like the caramel flavor of the candy? Yes, Nietzsche?
10 students, teacher.
Let's see if it is correct. Next slide, please. Okay, very good, Nietzsche. There are 10 students who like caramel flavor. Teacher Rochelle?
All right. Thank you so much, Teacher Brother J. So, next is what flavor of the candy is least favorite of the students? I see the hand of Francis. Yes, Francis?
Green apple flavor teacher.
Okay, thank you so much. So let us check if your answer is correct. Next slide, please. All right, your answer is correct. Now, I would like to give to Teacher Babajay to continue. Teacher Babajay?
Okay, which is more popular, the butterscotch or the banana flavor? Who wants to answer? Yes, Ella?
Banana teacher.
Let's see if it is correct. Next slide, please. Yes, very good. The banana flavor is more popular. Next slide, please. How many more students like caramel flavor than green apple flavor? Who wants to answer? Yes, Journaline?
Six more students, teacher.
Yes, there are. Let's see if it is correct. Yes, there are six more students. Very good, class. Again, Teacher Rochelle.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Babajay. So always remember, class, that all the bars should have a common base. Each column in the bar graph should have equal width, and the height of the bar should correspond to the data value, and the distance between each bar should be the same. So that would be all, class, for our topic, which is the bar graph. Now, I will give the virtual floor to Teacher Desiree to discuss another topic for today's afternoon. Teacher Desiree?
Okay, thank you for that wonderful discussion, Teacher Baba J and Teacher Rochelle. So, class, do you still follow our discussion?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
That's nice, teacher.
Okay, very good. So, to make your mind awake, class, and since I want to hear your beautiful voices, when I say hello, you say hi. When I say hi, you say hello. Hello, class.
Hi, teacher.
Hi,
Hi,
teacher.
teacher.
Hello.
Hello, teacher. Hello,
Very
teacher.
beautiful.
Hi,
Okay,
teacher.
thank you for that. Next slide, please. Now, class, I want to ask you, what can you see on your screens? Yes, Elaine?
A dice teacher.
Okay, very good. It is a dice. So, when do we usually use or see a die or a dice? Yes, Igay?
Play, playing board games, teacher.
Okay, that is correct. So, we can usually see it in board games such as Snake and Ladder. So, can you tap the heart button, class, if you are familiar with the Snake and Ladder? Okay, very good. So in that game, we're gonna roll the dice and the number that comes out corresponds to the number of steps we're gonna make on the ladder. So now class, how many faces are there in a die? Okay, can I have Nietzsche?
There are six faces, teacher.
Okay, let us check. Can you next slide please? Very good. There are six faces in a die, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So dice class are generally used to generate a random outcome, most often a number or a combination of numbers. So next slide please. So teacher, what if we roll the dice? What are the possible outcomes? Next slide please. Okay, so these are the possible outcomes if we roll the dice. So 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and so on. So class, how many possible outcomes are there in total? Can I have Rhea May?
36, teacher.
36, teacher. Okay, let us check. Next slide, please. Very good. There are 36 possible outcomes. So how did you get 36? Rhea May. Or anyone, how did you get 36? May I have um Jonah?
Multiply 6 and
Multiply
2,
6 and
teacher.
Okay, very good. So since we have two dice in which each die has six sides with numbers from 1 to 6, when you roll the first die, there are six possible outcomes. For each number of the die, there are also six different possibilities for the second die. So we multiply the six outcomes from the first die and the six outcomes from the second die, which gives us a total of 36 possible outcomes or combinations. So now class, based on my questions, what do you think is our next discussion? Can I have Kathleen?
I think
I
it's
think
simple
it's simple
probability.
probability. Okay, let us check. Next slide, please. Very good. The next discussion is all about simple probability. But before we proceed with the discussion proper, do you want to hear a song, class?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
Yes,
teacher.
teacher. Okay, so me and teacher Mel will sing for you. Next slide, please. The title of the song is Probability Song with the tune If You're Happy and You Know It. So, let me start. If you spin the wheel around, what will it show? If you spin the wheel around, what will it show? It could land on red or blue. Every color has a hue. That's the probability we should know.
If you rule a
If
die
you
and
rule a
count
die
one
and
through
count one
through the trees.
through the trees,
If you rule a
if you
die and
rule a
count
die
one
and
through
count
six,
1 through 6,
each is high as such a
just try to
show. Every
show
number we
every
can
number
know.
we can know.
Probability,
Probability,
that's a tree.
that's a tree. If you flip a coin, what side will probably show? If you flip a coin, what side will probably show?
It's a
It
show.
could land
It could land on
on
another
two,
two. Has a
has
difference
a
up to
chance
you.
to
That's a
you. That's a
probability.
probability.
All about.
All about. Okay, thank you, teacher Romel. So that is our song class. So next slide, please. So now let us define probability. Can someone please read what's on the screen? Okay, may I have May Angeline?
Probability is
Probability
the
is the
likelihood of
likelihood
an
of
event to
event
happen.
to happen. Okay, very good. So probability class is the likelihood of an event to happen, or it describes how likely or unlikely it is that something will happen. So probability class has also a scale. Next slide, please. So the value of probability class starts from 0 to 1. So it can be given in fraction, in decimal, or in percent. So 0 probability means impossible to happen, or there is no chance of something to happen. While 1 or 100% means that an event is certain to happen without a doubt. While 1 half or 50% has an even chance of an event to happen. Next slide, please. Okay, so if an event happens to be in between 0 and 1 half, the likelihood of the event is unlikely to happen. So remember, class, that the closer it is to 0, the more unlikely it will happen. For example, If the probability 1/4 or 0.25 or 25%, the likelihood of it to happen is unlikely since it lands between 0 and 1 half. However, if the event happens between 1 and 1 half, the event is likely to happen. So always remember that the closer it is to 1, the more likely the event will happen. For example, we have here a probability of 3/4 or 0.75 or 75%. So its likelihood to happen is likely because it lands between 1 half and 1s. Do you understand, class? Can I
Yes,
have your
teacher.
heart
Yes,
reaction?
teacher.
Yes,
Okay,
teacher.
very good. Next, please. So we have here different examples. So a weather forecaster says that the probability that it will rain today is 75%. So what is the chance that it will rain today? So since 75% class lands between 1 half and 1 or 50% and 100%, the likelihood of an event or the likelihood that it will rain today is likely to happen. Next slide, please. Okay, can somebody read what's the second example? Okay, can I have Kyle?
Yes, teacher. So the second example is the likelihood that two people in every group of 15 will have the same birthday is 10%.
Okay, thank you for that, Kyle. So in this example class, so since 10% lands between 0 and 1 half, it means that the event is unlikely to happen. Next slide, please. So as I've said earlier, the more closer it is to 0, the more unlikely the event to happen. Therefore, we can conclude that two people in a group of 15 having the same birthday is unlikely to happen. So now class, I have prepared different situations. So let us try to identify the likelihood of an event to happen. So all you have to do is tell me if it is impossible, certain, even chance, unlikely, or likely. Do you understand, class?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, very good. Now, who wants to read and answer the first one? Can I have Mary Faith? Mary Faith, we can't hear you. It seems like you have problems with your mic. So, may I ask anyone? Okay, let's have Julian.
It will snow tomorrow in Cebu City. Impossible.
Okay, let us check if your answer is correct. Next slide, please. Okay, it is impossible because we all know that there are only two seasons here in the Philippines, which is the wet and dry season. So, meaning there is zero probability that it will snow tomorrow in Cebu City. Next slide, please. Okay, who wants to answer? Can I have Karil?
The moon will come out in the evening. Certain, teacher.
Okay, let us check. Next slide, please. Very good. The moon will come out in the evening is certain to happen. Can we give a virtual clap to Karil? Okay, thank you everyone. Next slide, please. So, how about this one? Who wants to answer? Can I have Ruby?
I will be kidnapped by an alien. Impossible, teacher.
Okay, why do you think so?
There is no alien in Earth, teacher.
Okay, very good. But it's impossible because there is no proof that alien exists. Next one is, okay, how about this one? Who wants to answer? Can I have Maurice?
When you roll a die, it will land on a counting number. Certain teacher.
Okay, let us check if your answer is correct. Next slide, please. Very good. It is certain because the numbers 1 to 6 are all counting numbers. And lastly, next slide, please. Okay, can I have Urian?
There are 12 marbles in a jar. Six of the marbles are red and the rest are blue. What is the chance of picking a red marble? I think it is a even chance, teacher.
Okay, let us check if your answer is correct. Next slide, please. Very good. It is an even chance because there is the same number of red and blue marbles in the jar. So that was an awesome activity class. So can you give yourselves a virtual clap and a confetti? Okay, thank you for that. So now that we're done, let us call Teacher Romel to teach us how can we get the probability. Teacher Romel?
All right, thank you so much, Teacher Des. So now, since Teacher Des, it's already discussed what the probability is all about. Now, I will give you, or I will teach you on how to get the probability. So, when we say probability class, it is used to describe how likely or unlikely it is that something will happen. So, the formula of probability, it is the probability is equal the number of favorable outcomes divided by the number of possible outcomes. So when we say also the sample space, later on you will know what the sample space is all about. So the sample space, it is the possible outcomes of an experiment. So next slide, please. All right. So since I provide here some of the problems or the problems questions, which is for you to know or for you to have an idea to further know about the to get the probability. So teacher, how can we get the probability? So we can get the probability by dividing the number of favorable outcomes by the number of possible outcomes. So since teacher does it's already discussed about this, so how many marbles are there in a jar? Can someone will tell me? All right, Desiree.
12 marbles, teacher.
All right, very good. So there are 12 marbles. So six red marbles and then blue, and then there are six blue marbles in a jar. So, but since we are looking for the probability of picking red marbles, so how many red marbles are in a jar? Doro?
There are 6 red marbles, teacher.
That's correct. There are six marbles are in the jar. So it means that the favorable outcomes is 6 and the possible outcomes is 12 since they are 12 marbles are in the jar. Now, in a fraction from the probability, it is the 6 over 12 as what you see in the prob at the example of the at this example. So remember, like fractions, we need to simplify this in lowest term. Let's divide this by greatest common denominator, which is 6. So 6 divided by 6 is equal to 1. And 12 divided by 6 is equal to 2. So therefore, the probability in fraction form is 1 half. So to convert this decimal, just divide uh, 1 by 2, which is 0.50 or 50% in the probability. The likelihood of the event is there is an even chance of picking a red marble in a jar. So next slide, please. All right. So I I prepare a lot of questions for you to further know how to get the probability. So the first question is in the box has 5 cubes. So two of which are red, another two are white, and one is blue. So next slide, please. All right. So the first question is what is the probability of picking cube out of the box? So since we copy or um, since we can get the probability, so or to determine the probability, we used or we need to divide the number of favorable outcomes by the number of possible outcomes. So as what I've said lately, that the favorable outcomes are the specific outcomes that we are looking for. So in the questions, so we are looking for the probability of picking blue cube. Here we have we only have one blue cube, so that there is our so there in one blue cube it is our favorable outcome. So divide by the number of the possible outcome, which is the total number of the possible outcomes, which is the 5. So the total now in a fraction form, the probability is 1/5. To convert this into decimal, just divide 1 by 5, which is 0.20 or 20%. So in the probability, the likelihood of this event is, can someone will tell me what is the probability line of this first example? Russia.
Unlikely to happen, teacher.
All right, very good. That's correct. Next slide, please. The second question, which is, what is the probability of picking red cube out of the box? So, um, so again, to determine the probability, just simply divide the favorable outcomes by the possible outcomes. So here are the favorable outcomes are the the red cubes, which is two red cubes, as what you've noticed are in the back. So there are two cubes, so that is our favorable outcomes. So see, divided by the total of the possible outcomes, which is the 5, because there is 5 cubes or 5 cubes out of the box. So now in the fraction form, the probability is 2/5. So to convert this into decimal point or decimal form, it is divided by 2. 2 is divided by 5, which is 0.40 or 40%. So in the probability line, the likelihood of this event is, can someone will tell me what's the probability line? Oriane?
I think it is unlikely, teacher.
All right, that's correct. It is unlikely to happen. So next slide, please. So in the third question is that what is the probability of not picking blue cube out of the box? So again, so simply to determine the probability, always remember to simply divide the favorable outcomes by the possible outcomes. So since um, the question is not the picking blue, so there are so again, so here are the favorable outcomes, which is the all cubes except blue cube. Since we had two white cubes and two red cubes are in the box, so it means we have four favorable outcomes. So divided by the total of possible outcome, which is 5. So now in a fraction form, the probability is 4 over 5. So to convert this into decimal, just divide 4 by 5, which is 0.80 or 80%. So what do you think the probability line is? Can someone will tell me? Marifate Pacaldo? Santosidad? Can you give what is the probability line of the number 3?
The probability line teacher is likely to not to be picked.
All right. So the probability of this number 3, it is we can see the likelihood of this event is likely to happen since it's between the 50% and 100%. Next slide, please. All right. Now it's time to us have to have an activity time for you to test or for me to test you that you are listening in my discussion. So next slide please. So the first question it is what is the probability of landing of an even numbers? So I cannot see the okay. The what is the probability of landing on an even number? So the sample space that I've said earlier, it is the numbers we're in or a set of possible outcomes of an a random experiment that a sample space defined is. So in the number of a so in the number of number the number of one for activity 1 it is the sample space it is again to determine the probability simply divide the favorable outcomes by the total of possible outcomes. So here we are looking for even numbers. So what do you think are the even numbers of here in the screen? What are the even numbers? Can you tell me what are the even numbers? Yes, Boreros.
2, 4, and 6, teacher.
Yes, that's correct. That's an even number. It's 2, 4, 6. So since we have 1, 2, and 1, 4, and 1, 6, so it means we have three favorable outcomes. So next slide, please. Okay, since I told you lately that the sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, that's our sample space. So the number of favorable outcomes, next slide please, is is 3, which is the 2, 4, 6. That is the even number. So that is a favorable outcomes, which is 3. Next slide please. So then the possible outcomes is 6. Why? Because the possible outcomes is 6. So now in a fraction form, the probability is 3 over 6. Remember, like fractions, we need to simply this in the lowest term. So let's divide this by greatest common factor, which is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. Therefore, next slide please. Next slide please. So um, therefore the probability in fraction form is 1/2. So to convert this to decimal, just divide 1 by 2, which is 0.5 or 50%. In the probability line, it is the likelihood of this event is there is, can someone will tell me? There is, yes, it
50%.
is. Yes, that's correct. Because 50% is the even, there is an even chance that it will land or an even or it will land on an even number since it's between of 0% and 100%. So next slide please. So the last or the second question which is what is the probability of landing of number 7? So here, so as what I've said lately that um, by getting the favorable outcomes uh, by uh, by dividing the favorable outcomes of the possible outcomes, we should first see or let's find the sample space for us to know or for us to get the possible outcomes or the or the probability. Next slide, please. All right. So in the number two activity, which is the probability by landing on number 7, is the sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So since there's no 7 in the in the provided picture, there's no 7. So it means, next slide, please. It means we have there's no I mean 0, the favorable outcomes is 0 since there's no 7 on the provided picture, so which is there's no 7, it is 0. So next slide please. So by divided by the possible outcomes, which is the 6. So next slide please. So 0 divides by 6 is 0, which is, next slide please, is uh is 0%. So in a probability line, that 0% means it is impossible to happen because there's no 7 or there's no landing on number 7. So good job everyone, and I hope you really understand what's our discussion for this afternoon. So that's all for today's discussion. Thank you for your attention and participation. Once again, I am Teacher Romel.
And I am Teacher Maddie.
I am teacher Bebe J.
I am teacher Charlene May.
I am teacher Leslie.
And I am teacher Rochelle.
And I am your teacher, Abby.
And last but the least, I am your teacher, Claire.
The more we learn math lessons,
In our class,
The more we learn math lessons, the happier are we.
For numbers are treasures.
that count down as blessings.
The more we learn math lessons.
The happier are we.
Thank you, students, and have a
thank
nice
you so much, class.
Thank you so much, class. Have a great day.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, teacher.